When I arrived at Haverford, I felt pretty confident that I wanted to study French. Maybe not as a major, but at least as a minor. I'd taken French for a pretty long time, probably somewhere around 6 or so years. And while I didn't feel, didn't feel particularly talented, but I felt like I had a pretty good command of the language and at least a lot of interest in learning more. So I was excited to come to the college level. And so I got to Haverford, I took my placement exam, and the professor said to me, well, you can take this class and you'll probably do very poorly. Or you can take this class and it will probably be too easy. And I really wasn't sure what to do with that information. But I opted for the class that would be a little easier since I thought it was my first semester and it would be good to adapt to a language at the college level. And so I took the class and I learned a lot, and it wasn't too easy, it was still challenging. And then I actually continued and I took French the next semester as well. And I was doing okay. I wasn't doing particularly amazing, but I felt like I was learning and my grades were okay. But at the end of the second semester, at the end of my first year at Haverford, my professor, who I really liked, said, hey, can you come see me at office hours? So went to see my professor and he said, Franklyn, I can tell you have a real interest in the language, but you're really a terrible writer. You can't write in French. And I said, I don't understand. We've been working on these things, and I know that I struggle. Evidently, I write a lot like an American would. And being American, I suppose that's my curse, but I rely too much on idiom or American-style conventions, or whatever the problem was. But it was clear that I was not my writing was not really suitable for the class, and was hurting my grade. And so we sort of worked on a few things and tried to talk about it and tried to be more aware. But ultimately, it just became clear to me that I just wasn't cut out for French. And that was disappointing. That was really hard. I think I had a very, very clear idea of what I wanted to study, and it felt like maybe I actually can't do that after all. You can't always study what you want. You can't always pursue what you want to do, because sometimes you just don't have the capability. I still thought, well, I appreciate his advice, and so I'll shop a class anyway the next year. And so I shopped the class, and after half an hour, I realized that the demands of the class would just be too great, and ended up changing, walking out, shopped a different class in art history that's still related to French and to French culture, but actually didn't ask quite as much on the language component, and it turned out to be my major. So in a way, there was a silver lining there. I found another thing I'm very passionate about and interested in, but I think grappling with the realities of my abilities was something that really challenged me, and something I learned a lot from.